Hi, welcome to Echoes and Edges, the Broken and Beautiful podcast. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Patria, the founder of The Broken and Beautiful. I'm a story and Enneagram coach, and I love to help people weave parts of themselves back together, gently, with skill. Part of being skilled means having many tools in the toolbox of care. I have many, from Allender training to Enneagram training and a whole bunch in between. Far and away, though, one of the most useful tools that I have found is the Enneagram. Why? Because the Enneagram is set up to provide not only information, but pathways for transformation. It's not complicated. It's not easy, but it's not complicated, and it provides a simple way of recognizing why reactivity shows up when and how it does for us. So we're offering you a series on the 9 types, short, simple, and to the point, to help you get started using the Enneagram in a practical way. On today's episode, we'll be talking about Type 3. Type 3s are the achievers or the succeeders. They're generally successful in some way. I always like to clarify that success can mean very different things for 3s. So sometimes I've used the example of a person who maybe grew up on Wall Street is going to look like a quintessential, financially motivated, successful person. But a woman who lives under a traditional, conservative, maybe even fundamentalist religious system, who is a Type 3, is not going to look like the Wall Street giant. They're going to look like success in their context. And this is true for all types. Every type, there's not one way that any type looks, but for Type 3s, because of the shape-shifting ability and the way that they literally take on and become, they lose the sense of their own identity and become the role in which they are cast. They are succeeders in whatever context that is. The defense mechanism for Type 3 is performing instead of being. So I always like to say it's an opposition to just being. Sort of like what you just talked about with the Type 2. It's just a little different for Type 3, but also similar to the Type 2 for Type 3. So performing instead of being. Adapting, the over-adapting, this is true for other types on the Enneagram as well, but Type 3s do it in order to stay in the role that they've been cast in and taken on. And they are achieving to outrun a sense of failure or inadequacy. Sometimes 3s will say that they don't do anything they can't win at. And so that's kind of part of the defense structure. So for 3s, productivity can become a shield. And how does that play out when life speeds up over the holidays, Ro? What would you say to that?
So I think we'll go with the quintessential hosting.
Yeah.
And 3s want perfection also, but not for the same reasons 1s do.
Oh, it's so good.
It's performing. It's about it being a reflection of them. The tablescape, the food, the experience is an image that they want to project. And so I think they can get caught up in the making it experience and kind of lose being present in it. They can be busying, and a 2 can do that too, where you lose presence because you're so busy making something happen. And I think another way a 3 in a family can kind of come back in is if they, growing up, were the entertainer, the showman, held, captivated people by their stories. Just when things got uncomfortable, they just can kick in to that. And maybe they've been doing work of not putting that mask on and performing, but they go back home and it's that expectation of you're on, it's showtime. And so I think for a 3 not to fall into that as well.
Yeah, or just even to be aware that they're in the role. that they're on the stage in whatever way that is. And again, just as a reminder to the listeners that this can be in any role for a type 3. It's that feeling that comes from the heart, because the 3s are in the heart center. 2s, 3s, and 4s are in the heart center. It's a feeling that comes from the heart to perform, to create that perfect image. And so what does it look like when 3s slow down enough to really be seen for who they really are, rather than this image that they've so well honed?
I think it's that struggle, kind of like, well, for a 2, will I be loved or wanted if I'm not doing? I think if people see who I really am in all of it, will they love me? Will I be accepted? It's a very scary to take that mask off and be that vulnerable for a 3 is very, very hard. But it hides the gift that they can bring to a group of people. A healthy 3 is very much, pulls a little bit from that 6 of bringing people along with them.
Yes.
And making it for the team and not being out in front. But there's a vulnerability in that when you take that step back. But it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see a healthy 3 in a group setting, because they're not needing to be the one up front. They pull other people with them. Yes,
and that's where that cheerleading really becomes a source of beauty. And it is true that type 3s struggle with believing they're loved and that they're worthwhile just because they are. Because they are. And that movement can be very awkward. It can be very painful. It can take time. Sometimes, depending on if there's a lot of trauma in the 3's life, they can so lose touch with their identity that you only get touch points as a 3, where every now and then you realize, wait, is this really who I am? And that might not show up I'm just thinking as we're talking, that might not show up in the holiday proper. Like it might not be while it's going on. It might come later when you look back and you think, why do I not feel quite on about that? What's off? And just pay attention to that. Get support. Ask your coach. And if you don't have a coach, get one. If this episode resonates with you, follow or subscribe to Echoes and Edges on your favorite podcast platform. Leave a 5-star review and share with a friend who might need a gentle invitation to self-understanding. Echoes and Edges is produced and edited by Stephen R. Sanders. Music promoted by Envato. Echoes and Edges is part of the VividLivid Podcast Network, where bruises speak and healing finds its voice.